reason stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know I'm doing this one a little late. I had a doctor's appointment this morning about my finger. All right. So, not really sure what's wrong. They gave me a cream to put on it. All right. We'll just call it what it is, old people cream. Arthritis cream. It's just what they call a topical. It goes right on it. And it helps a little bit. They gave me some exercises and I have to go see the hand doctor. Maybe we should have just gone straight to the hand doctor. But they got to have their referrals. And they gave me some antibiotics for my tooth. Been having problems with my teeth. But looking at doing this thing, it's called Bionic Smile. It's about $9,000 and fly to Las Vegas and take out all your teeth and put in new ones. Because these are all done. I ruined these. How many other people out there ruined all their teeth through drinking? I'm one of them. The alcohol is like 80% sugar. So it messes up our teeth, and it doesn't help that I'm British. So, but enough of my woes. At least I'm not hungover. I ain't hungover. Good afternoon, Leisure. Leisure says a good afternoon for a meeting. It is a pleasant day in Colorado. It is March 22nd on a Saturday here in Colorado. Good news, Von Miller is officially a Bronco again. I pulled the trigger on that one a little too early last time. So, Amber. I was just meeting with a sponsee, and he asked why Amber wasn't at the noon meeting. So, you have a few crowns. I have no teeth. That's why you never see me smile. I'll let you kind of see my bottom teeth, but no, my top lip does not move up. Awesome. Here's my Orajel for my tooth, for toothache and gum relief. 4 times medicated cream. 4 times. But these go to 11. All right. For any of you Spinal Tap fans, welcome to Daily Trudge. I'm Dion. 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 If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching live or the rewatch. Not many, I don't talk about this much, but I actually grew up with the name Dion Bates. My last name's Miller. My last name's always been Miller. It's just, my parents didn't let me know that my dad wasn't my real dad because I was a little bit older, and they had me use his name, even though he had never adopted me. And there's a whole story there. I'm not going to go into it. But, yeah. It is fentanyl cream. Oh, gimme. Gimme. It's fentanyl cream. You're funny. All right. So chapter 6 into action. I'm just going to start at the beginning of the chapter. I'll be honest, I didn't have much time to put much thought into a topic or what I was talking about today. But it's not unusual when I wing this. I tend to wing it for several reasons. The number one reason, God. Yes. God will take care of it. He always does. Von Molly Miller. Yeah, Amber, I don't know if you were here when I said this, but it is official. Von Miller is now a Bronco. He'll probably be third string, My wife was asking, she's like, "Oh, good, we need some town. We need some more there." I'm like, "Yeah, he ain't the best anymore. He's getting a little older. Getting a little older. It's more for show than anything at this point." Anyway, into action. Having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We've been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator to discover the obstacles in our path. Let's remember the purpose of the book. The whole purpose of the book is to enable you, the reader, to find a power greater than yourself, of which can help you through the program. We have admitted certain defects. We have ascertained in a rough way what the trouble is. We have put our finger on the weak items in our personal inventory. Now, these are about to be cast out. This requires action on our part, which, when completed, will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. This brings us to the fifth step in the program of recovery mentioned in the preceding chapter. This is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. We think we have done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There is doubt about that. In actual practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. You ever have a really good idea comes out till it comes out of your mouth? Same thing. It's exactly what we're talking about here. And yes, it's happened to you. It's happened to everybody in the world. Happens to us alcoholics more often than the people, though. Us silly drunks, right? We're such silly drunks. All right, now we gotta say it out loud. The only form of communication is when this big gaping hole in my face is moving. It's the only time there's communication. All right. Even texting stuff is not saying things out loud. But there's something about it. I don't know exactly what it is. I know some of the clinical proponents, but as far as the spiritual proponent goes, and it's not like this is a new way of doing things. People have been confessing their sins for thousands of years. People that I would deem much closer to God, doing more of God's work than I do. Even saints do it. Okay. Now, of course, we don't get into those original sins. We have different names for them here, but they're still kind of the same thing. Right. So we will be more many of us thought it necessary to go much further. We will be much more reconciled by discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do it. The best reason first. If we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep themselves certain facts about their lives, trying to avoid this humbling experience. They have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. That's true. This is what I see. I call it the AA shuffle. 1, 2, 3, slip. 1, 2, 3, slip. Yeah. Leisure says, half the time I open my mouth, sometimes again I need to remember the agreements and the gift of sobriety and leading my best leading my best life. Yeah. So keeping our mouth shut sometimes is the best thing. And usually, like right now, I wrote something. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into that. But sometimes I need a little bit longer to think about what I'm going to say, maybe what I'm going to type out, things like that, right? But here we've got to admit it out loud. There's something about our own voice saying it that kind of confirms it. Okay. Now we've been avoiding our feelings. We've been avoiding emotions. We've been avoiding problems and confrontation all of our life by putting alcohol into our system. Okay. And what I would call this is confronting the snakes. I found in this world that you get away with nothing, good or bad. It all comes back around. Okay. So we alcoholics, especially us alcoholics, there will be repercussions to everything that we do. There will be a consequence to everything that we do. Not every consequence is bad. Good afternoon, Michelle. It's good to see you. Okay. Now we tend to have the better consequences here, right? So you got a couple options. You can either face your snakes head on. Hey, these are my snakes. This is what I'm going to do with them. I'm aware of my snakes now. Now I'm going to do something about them. I'm going to try not to use this snake anymore. Or you can wait till you're 40 or 50 and you can have the trauma hit and suddenly you're scared to even leave your fucking house because you haven't dealt with your feelings all these years because you've been stuffing them down and suddenly you need to go to therapy. You can go that route too. Those are the options. There aren't any other options. Right? So, Leisure says you understand what I'm saying even on delay. Wired the same like every. I don't have the best memory, but I can usually remember what happened 12 seconds ago, but not always. I've just been real good at it lately. But thank you, Leisure. I appreciate that compliment very much. So they invariably got drunk. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell. We think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty in the sense that we find it necessary until they told someone else all their life story. Good afternoon, Heather. Good to see you. Heather says the second option is not recommended. Been there doing that. Yeah, that was my experience also, which is why I bring it up. I went with the second option also. Okay. And it was a lot harder to do. Years and years of nightmares every night. That's just one of the things. Living in fear. The paranoia is immense. You think everyone's after you. You know better. Inside you kind of inside you kind of know better, but outside it's not appearing that way. Yeah. It can be tough. Right? So they didn't take inventory. They didn't bring up everything that had gone on. This is what I would call the poltergeist effect. Did you ever see the movie Poltergeist? If you have not, and they haven't remade it yet, so there's that. Maybe they will shortly. So this family moves into a new housing development, and the person that moves in, he's the top salesperson, right? And they're like, "We're going to give you the first house so that you can sell the houses in this neighborhood." And they knew that it used to be on a cemetery, and at one point they're even at the cemetery around all the tombstones and everything else, and he's with his boss, who's the owner of the company, and right. So you actually see the cemetery, right? Well, what happens? They end up getting this evil spirit, which is a poltergeist, created by the bodies that were still there, and it turns out that the bodies were never moved. This is what I would call poltergeist effect. At the end of the movie, the main character is shaking his boss. He's shaking his boss and he goes, "You moved the tombstones, but you didn't move the bodies. But you didn't move the bodies." There is one part where they put a pool in their backyard, and I'm prefacing that part because Leisure's about to say something, right? And they'd only done the hole, and so Leisure says they deserved it for having the greed to want a swimming pool in the first place. So, all right. So you got to move the tombstones and the bodies. You got to do the whole thing. It's got to be done thoroughly. Okay. So you can give movie spoilers, but you can't sing, but you can sing. I figured you meant can't sing. Yes. And it's only because if I sing for longer, I think it's more like 7-8 seconds. It gets picked up by some AI, and then my video gets cut. So, all right. Good afternoon, Gary. It's good to see you, brother. More than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. Very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents a stage character. This is one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. Right? Let me tell you, there's something that happens to us mentally, emotionally, and spiritual when we are trying to be two different people at one time. It does. Okay? The brain is one of the most powerful tools you have. It is. It is so powerful. You ever looked for your keys when they're sitting right in front of you? But what were you saying to yourself? I can't find my keys. I can't find my keys. Can't find my keys. Well, you're right. And your brain listened to you. And it made sure you could not find the keys. You looked there, but the keys weren't there, even though they were there. Because you said that to yourself. But when we are these two different people, it has a big effect on us. A big effect. Knowing our identity is one of the biggest things that almost every human being goes through. Well, who am I? What am I about? What am I supposed to be doing here? All right. The inconsistency is made worse by the things he does on sprees. Coming to his senses, he is revolted at certain episodes he vaguely remembers. These memories are a nightmare. He trembles to think someone might have observed him. Nowadays, you are probably recorded and put on Instagram anyway. Right? These memories, he trembles to think somebody observed him. As fast as he can, he pushes these memories far inside him. He hopes they will never see the light of day. He is under constant fear and tension. That makes for more drinking. You don't know what to do, so you go with what you know, drinking. Psychologists are inclined to agree with us. We have spent thousands of dollars for examinations. We know of a few instances where we have given these doctors a fair break. We have seldom told them the whole truth, nor have we followed their advice. Unwilling to be honest with these sympathetic men, we were honest with no one else. Small wonder many in the medical profession have a low opinion of alcoholics and their chances for recovery. I hear a lot of people. I've run into a lot of people, not just alcoholics, but non-alcoholics too, where they will sit there and say therapy doesn't work. You're right. There you go again, telling yourself what doesn't work, right? That's number one. But the real question is, were you being honest with them? No, you weren't. These people are extremely skilled at what they do. Very skilled at what they do. But if I do not give them the truth, they cannot work with it. When I went and saw the cardiologist a few weeks back, he said, well, why haven't you been in to see a cardiologist in so long? I said, well, between my alcoholism and fear of coming in, I didn't do it. And he looked at me, he's like, thank you for being honest. Like, what else was I going to say? What else was I going to say? Because it was the truth. It was fear. It's fear. Absolutely, Leisure. Absolutely, right? So, we got to be honest. Well, Doc, I think I might have a drinking problem. Doctor will probably say something like, well, no shit. They could probably, they got to be up close with you. They could probably smell it. Well, I drink vodka. You can't smell vodka. Bullshit. Yes, you can. You can smell vodka. I can smell it. Well, there's no smell. I don't know where that all started from. All right, but when we drink so much that the alcohol is coming out of our pores It doesn't matter what kind of alcohol we're actually drinking. You can smell it. All right. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think, well, naturally, we think well before we choose the person or persons with whom we take this intimate and confidential step. Those of us belonging to religious denomination which require confession must, and of course, will want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it is to receive it. Yeah, and Michelle says, yes, you can smell vodka. Yeah, Leisure says I can smell it. Right. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm like, am I? See, we all know that, right? But an alcoholic in his denial cups. Amber says, I honestly thought that was just old people smelled for the first 10-ish years of my life. That's funny. So whose duty it is to receive it. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk with someone ordained by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problem. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcoholics. Now, they want to give you options here, okay? But there are some people that you should not be doing your fifth step with. Somebody that's very close to you is probably not a wise thing. Somebody who has emotional ties to you. Yeah, right, Leisure. Just like smokers don't think people can smell cigarettes either. Yeah, that's not true. Yeah. Especially an ex-smoker. They'll really be able to smell that. That's why I think it's funny when I go to the doctor's office. They're like, do you smoke? I'm like, yeah, you can't smell it. Whatever. CJ says, I can so relate to the old people smell. I'm an old people in my life. Ever says I have a lot of alcoholics in my life. Yeah. Most have smelled it. That's smelled at this point. Yeah. Or they're sweating. Right. And we think an ounce an hour. Not with the way we drink. So what are when I'm working with somebody and we get to the fourth, fifth step, I let them know you are not required to do your fifth step with me. You're not required to do it. If there's somebody that you hold in more confidence or you're worried about me saying anything, you can go to someone and I will help you find that person if you choose to go that route. I've never had anyone not choose to use me as it, but they need to know that it's okay to go to these other places. I'm not going to be hurt by it. I'm really not. But it's usually best to do it with the person that's kind of gotten to know you over those months, right? You're eating. There's a lot of autocorrect going on right now, so I'm not reading a lot of them. All right. If we cannot or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintance for a closed mouth friend, closed mouth, understanding friend. Perhaps our doctor or psychologist will be this person. Yeah, therapist is a great person. A pastor, people of trust, maybe a professor, maybe a teacher, maybe it's your neighbor. Right? But they got to understand the intentions of what you are trying to do. But you'll find most people understand this process. Yeah. It may be one of our own family. But we cannot disclose anything to our wives or to our parents which will hurt them and make them unhappy. Well, then you can't be fearless and thorough. That will not be fearless and thorough. If you can't disclose, then what? Now you're going to tell your fifth step to a couple of different people? Let's watch our appeasement here. We have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense. Such parts of our story we will tell to someone who will understand it, yet be unaffected. The rule is we must be hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others. Again, now just in this area, that doesn't mean be hard on you and nice to other people. No, be nice to yourself. You have half and half sponsor and therapist. That works. Yeah. There's some things I've covered with my therapist, but they were also on my fifth step that I talked to somebody else about. But since I was able to tell that person, now it made it more comfortable for me to bring it to my therapist and work on that. So there's I wouldn't say that there's only one right way to do this, because there's not. There's a lot of wrong ways. Just follow this. Your experience may be different. How you do your list may be different from sponsor to sponsor. But what we're going for is the effect, awareness. We're trying to figure out what our character defects are. And we all seem to have the same character defects because we're alcoholic. So, notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one is so situated that there is no suitable person available. I would just think that's a bad excuse to not get it done. Right? And Leisure says you can't give away what you don't have. That's right. I was just talking to somebody with that the other day. They're going back to therapy so they can become a better person and help people. Yeah. But you can't transmit something you don't have. That includes sobriety. It includes happiness, joy, serenity. You can't pass those things on unless you have them first. Right? If that is so, the step may be postponed. Only, however, if we hold ourselves in complete readiness to go through it without the first opportunity. We say this because we are very anxious that we talk to the right person. It is important that he be able to keep a confidence that he fully understand and approve what we're driving at. That he will not try to change our plan, but we must not use this as a mere excuse to postpone. And that's what my thing is. So if they're going to postpone anywhere, really, it's going to be in the fourth step on that grudge list. That's where they seem to postpone a lot. Usually by this time, they understand if they continue to postpone that their sponsor is going to fire them because they're not doing the work. So usually this isn't where, but they're bringing it up here so you don't use it as an excuse, because we have brains that look for the easier, softer way constantly. And I can talk myself into something pretty darn easily, especially when it's bad for me. All right. All right. When we decide to hear our story, we waste no time. We have written inventory and we are prepared for a long talk. We explain to our partner what we are about to do and why we have to do it. He should realize that we are engaged upon a life-death errand. Most people approaching this way will be glad to help. They will be honored by our confidence. Oh, you want to try and become a better person? You want me to help you with it? Man, talk about encouragement. Shell says, when I did my last fifth step 12 years ago, I'm happy that none of that bothers me anymore. Hey. See, I did a fourth and fifth step when I was younger, when I was 18 years old. And I took care of stuff. It wasn't until I was about 30 years old. So yeah, there was about 15 years there that I had to cover. But I had already done the other stuff. That hadn't really bothered me in a long time. Yeah. Some of it I had to repeat. It's okay. We pocket our pride and go to it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted. Okay. The next part, that line and this next part are the fifth step promises. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. What are the fears that fall from us? The manufactured ones. The fear of approaching other people with our problems, thinking that other people will think less of us because of things that we have done in the past. This is where your past becomes gold. This is the turning point in which your past now can save somebody else's life. Because see, you've admitted it, and it wasn't that bad. It didn't hurt like you thought it was going to. Your expectations didn't come true. Well, then they're going to hate me. No, they usually done worse than you. You want to not be scared? Go do your fifth step with somebody doing prison time. If you got a fear that people are going to judge you for what you've done. I guarantee you haven't done worse than them. And they were redeemed. They were redeemed by Jesus. Well, if they could be a free man, woman, person, you can be too. You can. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. That feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We feel we're on the broad highway walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. And you are, with everybody in the group and everything else. The next three paragraphs are on 6 and 7. So, all right. So the process of saying it out loud, admitting to ourselves, to God, and to another human being are the requirements in order to receive the freedom, in order for those fears to fall away. Otherwise, it will not happen. So I agree, Leisure. In a way, fear is a lie. Quit worrying about fear. Go get some courage. You know, I keep going to these meetings and people bring up fear. Nobody's talking about God. God's the only way that I have found to relieve my fears, to gain more courage. To me, my higher power is courage. And the more I trust my higher power, the more courageous I become. It's true. Been my experience. All right, I'll wrap this one up. Got a kitty on the lap. We'll do some dancing, kitty. I've been messing with these cats since they were kittens, so they're used to it. You're used to it. It's like, Dad, that sucked. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great day. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And